Part 69. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 681. Su Tianqian glanced at me lightly and said, "After you left, Zhao Mian suddenly appeared and wanted to snatch the golden body. I stopped him. After I repelled him, I went back to look for you, but you were nowhere to be found. It seems that the whole thing is as I guessed." Su Tianqian looked out the window and said word by word, "Moreover, I also discovered that he is not the only one who wants to take action against you, but there are also several other groups hidden in the secret." I was slightly stunned and asked, "Is their goal also a golden body?" Su Tianqian shook his head and said, "The target of that group is not the golden body, but you." "It's me?" I instantly understood who the group was. If I guessed correctly, those people should be descendants of various walks of life who left mission. Their goal was to kill me. After all, my grandfather had a grudge against them. I raised a sneer at the corner of my mouth and said, "These people are really wolf-hearted. If it weren't for me, they would have died long ago. Now it's turned around and wants to kill me." Su Tianqian glanced at me and said slowly, "Sometimes, the human heart is more terrifying than the sea of ghosts." The hearse driver had no idea what the two of us were saying. However, he is still very talkative and comes to talk to me from time to time. The hearse boarded the highway again and moved forward slowly. Su Tianqian leaned on the car seat and closed his eyes to rest. I looked at Su Tianqian, hesitated and said, "Master, why don't you lean on my shoulder? It's very uncomfortable for you to lean on me like that." Su Tianqian opened her beautiful eyes, glanced at me lightly, and then closed her eyes again. I scratched my head in embarrassment, wishing I could give myself a slap because I could ask anything. How could Su Tianqian lean on my shoulder with his character? But at this moment, a refreshing fragrance hit me, and then I felt my shoulders sink. I was slightly stunned and looked along my shoulders. I saw Su Tianqian gently leaning his head on my shoulder, his long eyelashes floating up and down with the frequency of his breathing, his fair skin showing a little pink, and his expression elegant, just like a sleeping beauty. Not to mention how excited I was at this moment, I didn't even dare to take a breath. It seems that my master is somewhat duplicitous. The hearse moved forward slowly, and a wave of tiredness came over me. I glanced at my surroundings and found that we were still on the highway. I whispered to Xiao He, "Keep an eye on the surrounding area and notify me immediately if anything happens." Xiao He nodded, stretched his head in my arms and looked around. And I closed my eyes and took a break. I don't know how long it took, but a chill came over me. I opened my eyes suddenly and looked at the time. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I rubbed my swollen head and looked out the window. The hearse had already gotten off the highway and was driving slowly along the alley. I looked at the driver and asked, "Master, where are we?" The driver stared straight at the road in front of him and did not answer my question. I had some doubts in my heart and asked again, but the driver still didn't answer me. I suddenly had a bad feeling, so I took out my phone and opened the map. When I saw where we were now, my heart suddenly lifted. Because we have yawed a long way. At this moment, the master driver let out a sinister laugh. I looked at the driver and saw that his mouth was wide open and his orifices were bleeding. Especially the corners of his mouth were split to the extent that they almost reached behind his ears. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 682. Before I could react, Su Tianqian suddenly took action and grabbed the driver's wrist. Then he picked up the sword Ju with his right hand and pointed it between the driver's eyebrows. Immediately afterwards, a golden light spread out, and the ferocious expression on the driver's face gradually returned to normal. However, the driver fell into a coma. I quickly stepped on the brakes and stopped the hearse on the side of the road. Su Tianqian opened the car door and walked out of the morning, looking around lightly with his eyes. I settled down and the driver got out of the car. I asked, Master, what happened? Su Tianqian frowned slightly and replied, there are masters who have surrendered their heads nearby. Head-dropping master. I thought about the strange behavior of the driver. It was obvious that the driver had his head lowered. But when did it happen? At this moment, a dark shadow of Su Tianqian suddenly came straight towards me and Su Tianqian from the darkness. My face hardened, I held the 9 layers of thunder technique in my hand, and blasted towards the black figure. Thunder and lightning exploded, and the black figure was instantly blown away by me. I stared closely at the black shadow on the ground, and the next moment, the black shadow floated again. The black shadow slowly drifted from the darkness into the moonlight. And the appearance of the black shadow was clearly visible to me. That's a human head. However, this head is not dead, but alive. The man has long messy hair on his head. Under the long hair is a wrinkled old face, with a pair of mouse eyes staring at me. This is a flying head drop. Among the many curses, the head dropping technique is one of the most vicious, and it is also the most mysterious, terrifying and weird of all the head dropping techniques. The head lowering master uses spells and his own descent to allow his head to fly away from his body, and then controls his head to suck people's blood to increase his strength. In order to cultivate Fitojiangtu Dzogchen, one must go through 7 stages, and each stage must last for 49 days. Once the cultivation is successful, the head-down master will become very powerful. A sinister smile appeared on that wrinkled old face, and his eyes stared at me. Not to mention how terrifying it is. Head dropping is not all magic. Some head dropping can save people from water and fire. There is no absolute distinction between good and evil in any magic in this world. Like a weapon, it depends on the person using it. Su Tianqian took a step forward and protected me behind him. Stay behind me. The flying head descender in front of you has been successfully cultivated. You can't deal with it? At this moment, the head spoke. Su Tianqian, are you sure you want to stop me? I only want his life. As long as you let me kill him, you can live. There was only indifference in Su Tianxian's beautiful eyes. She did not answer the question of heads, but made her position clear through actions. Su Tianxian's jade hands were quickly squeezed together, and golden light flashed in his hands. Rentu saw the scene and laughed ferociously. In that case, don't blame me for being rude. As soon as I finished speaking, I felt a sharp pain in my abdomen, as if something was drilling around in my stomach. Su Tianqian noticed something strange about me, turned around and was about to ask me what was wrong, when she saw the human head rushing towards her. Helpless, Su Tianqian could only deal with this Fitojiang. I held my stomach and couldn't stop shaking. What's wrong with me? Could it be that he was lowered? Suddenly, a colorful light flashed and a colorful butterfly appeared in front of me. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanba. Chapter 683. Kadi stretched out her little hand and gently placed it on my abdomen. Oops. I was gone for a while, and you became like this. Cai Dai looked like a brat. Let me know in advance next time you encounter such a thing. As soon as he finished speaking, Cai Dai's palm glowed with colorful light. Immediately afterwards, I felt like my stomach was churning, and I couldn't hold it back and started vomiting desperately. This vomiting made me spit out all the bile. I looked at the puddle of filthy scalp on the ground that I had spit out and exploded instantly. There are scorpions, toads, centipedes, geckos in the filth. This head-dropping master's method is really weird. I don't even know when I was tricked. Su Tianqian is still fighting with the head. Although Su Tianqian had the upper hand, from what I could see, Su Tianqian had no way to deal with the head. Although Fitojiang is vicious and powerful, It has a fatal weakness. That is the body of the Jiangtu master. As long as I can find Fita Jiang's body, I will definitely be able to destroy the Jiangtu master. As for how to find the physical location of the head-down master, I have already thought of a way. I looked at the puddle of filth on the ground that I had vomited out. I summoned the secret code of heaven and drew the tracing talisman. These poisons were cultivated by the Jiangtu master, and they must have the breath of the Jiangtu master on them. The tracking talisman can pass through these poisonous fogs and locate the head-dropping master. I squeezed the sword formula with my hand, pointed at the tracking talisman, and then shouted. The tracking talisman burst out with a dazzling light. Then this beam of light shot straight into the sky and pointed in one direction. I rushed in the direction pointed by the tracking charm, and Cai Dai followed closely behind me. Xiao He flew in that direction one step ahead of me. I walked through a forest and saw a lake. A commercial vehicle is parked next to the lake. I came to the business car and opened the rear door directly. I saw a man in a black robe sitting cross-legged in the back seat. Moreover, this person has no head. His head seemed to have been chopped off with a sharp sword, and the cross-section of his head and body was very flat. I was so happy that I found it. I held the 9 levels thunder technique in my hand and blasted it towards the Jiangtu master. The thunder and lightning drew a dazzling arc in the night, but when the thunder and lightning was about to contact the head-lowering master, it was forced back by an invisible force. I retreated continuously to steady myself. Only then did I discover that there was a small magic circle under the head-lowering master. A sneer appeared at the corner of my mouth. It seemed that this head-dropping master was quite vigilant. However, this kind of magic circle cannot stop me. I summoned the heart sword and squeezed the thunder dew in my hand. Thunder and lightning wrapped around the sword. My face condensed. I raised the heart sword in my hand and stabbed the head-lowering master's body. An invisible force blocked me again, and I shouted loudly. My heart sword penetrated that force and directly pierced the body of the head-lowering master. At this moment, a roar came from not far away. "Boy! You dare to destroy my body! I will kill you!" It was the head of the head-lowering master who came over. I opened my palm, and a crimson flame appeared in my palm. I casually threw the karma fire onto the body of the master. In an instant, the fire of karma became so strong that it directly burned the body of the head-down master to ashes. At the same time, a shrill howl came from not far away. I rushed towards the direction of the sound, only to see a head falling to the ground, bleeding from all its orifices, and dying with eyes closed. I didn't see Su Tianxian. I think she was afraid that Zhao Mian would snatch her away from her body. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 684. Just when I was about to leave here, I suddenly heard the sound of military bugles coming from behind. I was slightly startled. How could there be the sound of bugles here? I turned around and looked back, but there was nothing behind me, which made me even more confused. I even suspected that I was hallucinating just now. Xiao He landed on my shoulder from the air. He looked at the lake not far away and said, "Boss, why do I feel that there is something in the lake? The little nigger is very smart, and his sensitivity to yin energy is even higher than mine. It says there is something there, there must be something there. In order to avoid unnecessary complications, I plan to leave here as soon as possible." But just as he was about to turn around, the melodious sound of the horn sounded again. My steps stagnated and I felt a chill running down my spine. Bubbles appeared on the lake not far away. Immediately afterwards, a soldier wearing armor emerged from the bottom of the lake. Then came the second, the third. The number became more and more numerous, beyond counting. Judging from the dressing of these soldiers, they should be from the Warring States period. Although we have deviated from the route, we are not far from Hang Pass. Hang Pass has been a battleground for military strategists since ancient times. It is natural for the underworld soldiers to appear here. These soldiers stared at me with their death-gray eyes. The expressions in their eyes ranged from confusion to anger. I screamed in my heart, "These evil soldiers are targeting me." Another melodious horn sounded, and these underworld soldiers from the Warring States period drew out their weapons and attacked me. My face hardened, and I summoned the Sea of Ghosts and Ghosts. My Yin soldiers emerged from the Sea of Ghosts and fought with these Yin soldiers from the Warring States period. The Yin soldiers of the Warring States period were extraordinary in strength. The aura erupting from their bodies did not look like Yin soldiers, but fighting spirits. The fighting spirit is born because of the war and dies because of the war. It is extremely powerful. The Yin soldiers in the Ghost Sea fought with the war spirits, but they didn't take any advantage. Just when I was about to take action, a general riding a skeleton horse walked out of the darkness. The ghost general was tall and had a resolute face, and his eyes looked at me with a strong murderous intent. "I didn't expect to see you here," the ghost general said to me. Obviously, the ghost general in front of him is different from the fighting spirits around him. He has his own intelligence, and he also knows what has happened over the years. However, what he called me really bothered me. I looked at him coldly and said nothing. It is better to avoid such a powerful being as the Ghost General as much as possible. If there is really no other way and he insists on killing me, I will have to take action. You killed our Chi soldiers and slaughtered our Chi people. I will make you pay the price today. I'm used to these confusing remarks. I don't understand my life experience myself, let alone anyone else. So far, I have a very close connection with Yunziazi, and of course I am also connected with an emperor of the Han dynasty. And now it comes to the Warring States period. I looked at the Ghost General and said, "You have been wandering for 1,000 years again, and everything has been unfavorable for 1,000 years. I will give you a chance to reincarnate with your men. If not, I will definitely beat you to death." The murderous intent in General Ghost's eyes did not diminish at all. He rode towards me step by step. "Let us be reincarnated. Stop dreaming. No matter what happens today, I will avenge my dead brothers." Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanba. Chapter 685. It seems like trying to reason with you won't make sense. If that's the case, then be prepared to lose your soul. I unfolded the Nine Eyes Heaven realm and enveloped all the fighting spirits within it. I waved my hand casually, and crimson flames appeared out of thin air, burning crazily in the Nine Eyes Heaven realm. The appearance of karma fire made the fighting spirit feel fear, and the ghost general's expression became extremely serious. I controlled the karma fire to attack the fighting spirits. When the fire of karma touches the fighting spirit, it instantly ignites it, and finally turns into fly ash and disappears into the air. I'm giving you one last chance. If you want to continue watching your men lose their souls, just fight me. In fact, I feel a little pity for these fighting spirits in my heart. The war brought only casualties, and these soldiers fought hard for the homeland behind them. One general succeeds and 10,000 bones wither. Somehow, I can relate to what these soldiers are going through. The ghost general looked at me coldly and said nothing. I continued, "I am not the person you are looking for. 1,000 years are enough to change everything, and you have already died once. If you die again, your soul will be gone. 1,000 years ago you watched your men die in front of you, and 1,000 years later, do you want to make the same mistake again?" The ghost general looked hesitant, and finally put down his weapon and dismounted his horse. "Let them go." I waved my hand and the fire of karma disappeared. I called out the gate of the underworld and said to the ghost general, "When you walk here, you can be reincarnated. After reincarnation, you will no longer experience war." The ghost general looked at me with complicated eyes. "You're right, 1,000 years can change everything, including you. But your appearance has not changed, and the true dragon energy in your body is still there, but you are not him. He is more ruthless than you and will not give us a chance to survive. True dragon spirit. The ghost general should be referring to my crepe myrtle luck. I seem to already know who the ghost general is referring to. That is the one emperor through the ages, Qin Shi Huang Yingzheng. However, this is not an absolute statement. After all, there are 7 heroes in the Warring States period, and the monarch of each country has the appearance of an emperor, so it is inevitable that the spirit of a true dragon will appear. I looked at General Ghost and asked, "Is the person you are referring to Qin Shi Huang Yingzheng?" Just as the ghost general was about to answer, he saw a black shadow rushing past and coming directly in front of him. Before the ghost general and I could react, we saw the man reach out and grab the ghost general's head, and then use force to pull out the ghost general's soul. When I saw clearly who was coming, I was stunned on the spot. Zhao Mian. He was wearing the same bronze mask as before. General Ghost looked shocked when he saw Zhao Mian. He shouted in disbelief, "It's you." Zhao Mian laughed sinisterly. I didn't expect that I could meet a 1,000-year-old war spirit here. It took no effort at all. Zhao Mian waved his hand casually, and the ghost general's soul was put into his sleeve. Zhao Mian. Let him go. I summoned my heart sword and pointed it at Zhao Mian. Zhao Mian glanced at me lightly and said, "Your Majesty, I really didn't expect that you would actually have sympathy for your former enemy." Zhao Mian's words made me frown. He said that the ghost general was my former enemy. That means Zhao Mian knows the origin of this army. Moreover, at that time he still regarded me as king. A terrible thought came to my mind. Zhao Mian existed in the world during the Warring States period. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 686. I don't want to talk nonsense to Zhao Mian anymore. I raised my sword and rushed towards Zhao Mian. But Zhao Mian's figure disappeared instantly, and his speed was even faster than my speed of using Nine Eyes' heavenly domain. Your Majesty, now is not the time for you and me to fight. Zhao Mian's voice suddenly sounded behind me, and I broke out in a cold sweat. I turned around suddenly and saw Zhao Mian take a step back and distance himself from me. Zhao Mian's eyes under the bronze mask were full of teasing. I don't need to do anything to kill you. Hang Pass is your burial place. I raised a sneer at the corner of my mouth, looked at Zhao Mian, and said, "You don't need to do it. I don't think you can do it to me at all. With Zhao Mian's strength, it would be easy to kill me. Moreover, he has great resentment towards me. If I were him, I would choose to take action without hesitation." The look in Zhao Mian's eyes stagnated slightly, and soon a vicious and resentful look filled his eyes. It's just a matter of time. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Mian waved his hand, and a black energy spread from his sleeves and enveloped the surrounding fighting spirits. "I'll give you a gift before I leave. I hope you can enjoy it." His figure flashed and disappeared into the darkness. I didn't chase him because I knew that even if I chased him, I wouldn't be able to defeat Zhao Mian. I looked around, and the black mist lingered on the fighting spirit for a long time. I suddenly felt that the evil spirit in these fighting spirits was rising sharply. Ho ho ho! The fighting spirits roared one after another. Then the black mist dissipated, and the fighting spirits' eyes were scarlet, looking at me viciously and maliciously. Just now, because of the ghost general, the evil spirit and resentment on these war spirits had almost dissipated, but now it has surged again because of the black mist. The fighting spirit held a weapon and rushed towards me. My face condensed, and the karma fire gathered in front of me to form a wall of fire. I originally thought these ghost generals would choose to stop. After all, the burning fire of karma is not something that fighting spirits like them can bear. But I never expected that these fighting spirits rushed out of the wall of fire and rushed towards me as if they had lost their minds. I quickly picked up the 9 layers thunder technique and blasted it towards the fighting spirit closest to me. Now it is obviously impossible to transcend these fighting spirits, because these guys have lost their minds. In desperation, I can only use fire to burn these fighting spirits to ashes. After a while, these fighting spirits were dealt with by me. Only a few were still lingering on the ground. Just when I wanted to leave here, a weak voice sounded behind me. Wait a moment. I looked back. I saw a fighting spirit with karma burning in his body looking at me with pleading eyes. I came to the front of the war spirit, squatted down, and said, "Do you still have any unfulfilled wishes?" The fighting spirit endured the pain of being burned by karma, and he prayed to me, "Please, please, save our general. That person wants to turn our general into a soul evil spirit." After the soul demon is refined, all the yin soldiers in Hang Pass will listen to his orders. Please, save our general, save our brothers. Soul evil. As a general, Ghost General is extremely powerful and has the ability to command yin soldiers. Of course, the yin soldiers here refer to his soldiers. Once the soul evil is formed, the Ghost General will lose himself and completely become Zhao Mian's puppet. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 687. It was definitely too late to stop Zhao Mian. Because based on what I know about Zhao Mian, he will definitely choose to refine the soul evil spirit to appear. Now we need to find a way to resist the soul evil. Is there any way to awaken your general's sanity? War Spirit's voice became weaker and weaker. There is Crouching Dragon Mountain in the east, and, in the Dragon Gate, there is a Tiger Talisman. Now that the Tiger Talisman is out, all the troops will surrender. After saying these words, the fighting spirit disappeared. I let out a long sigh, a little pitiful for the plight of these soldiers. I took Cai Dai and walked towards the hearse. As I walked through the woods, I saw a beautiful figure standing next to the hearse. Su Tianxuan's beautiful eyes kept looking towards me. When she saw me, the worry in her eyebrows slowly dissipated. "Master, I'm afraid we have to go to Hang Pass a little later." I told Su Tianxian exactly what happened. After hearing this, Su Tianxian nodded. This is really the only way right now. Back in the hearse, the driver was still unconscious. I discussed with Su Tianxian and waited until the driver woke up to give him a sum of money and let him go home. And the hearse belongs to us. I asked the driver to drag me behind, and then drove the car towards Wolong Mountain. The war spirit only said that Wolong Mountain was in the east, but the specific location was not clearly stated. However, this does not trouble me. I know some feng shui techniques. Since it is called Wolong Mountain, the feng shui must be very special. Halfway through the car, the driver woke up. Su Tianxian took out a bank card from his pocket and handed it to me. He motioned for me to give the bank card to the driver and told me that the password was 6 zeros. I explained my intention to the driver. The driver was also very frightened by what happened just now, and now he wants to leave here. He took the bank card, I parked the car on the side of the road, and left. Although this place is remote, it is not without vehicles, not to mention that the driver is not a third-level disabled person and can stop the car as soon as he reaches the highway intersection. "Master, how much money is in that bank card?" Su Tianxian thought for a while and replied, 100,000 or so. 10, hundreds of thousands. This hearse was only worth 20,000 to 30,000 yuan, but this time the driver made a lot of money. However, this can be regarded as some compensation to the driver. After all, he just got hit by a head drop. "Master, I'm curious, how much is your savings?" Su Tianxian glanced at me lightly and said, "I can't remember exactly, there are many anyway." Last time Su Tianxian casually gave me a bank card with millions in it. It seems that my master is not only beautiful, but also a truly rich woman. Su Tianqian looked at me, thought for a moment, and said, money is an external possession. If you like it, I will give it all to you as a teacher. A wry smile appeared on my lips. Isn't this Versailles, my master? Then I can't have it. I have to make money by my own ability so that I can support my master. Su Tianqian was slightly startled when he heard what I said. He lowered his eyes and didn't know what to think about. I was chatting with Su Tianqian while driving. Master, after everything is over, the two of us can travel around the world. Let's go see the sea together, go hiking together, watch the sun rise together. I started talking non-stop to Su Tianqian and looking forward to the future. Su Tianqian just looked at me quietly without saying a word, because I was too absorbed in what I was talking about and didn't notice the look of yearning in Su Tianxuan's eyes. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 688. But Su Tianqian seemed to have thought of something, and the color in his eyes slowly dimmed. Master, what do you think? I looked at Su Tianqian and saw that Su Tianxuan's eyes were closed and he was breathing evenly. I sighed secretly in my heart. I was talking so passionately here that she actually fell asleep. Helpless, I can only concentrate on driving. The moment I turned my head, Su Tianqian opened his eyes and looked at my reflection on the car window. The expression in his eyes became extremely gentle. As the hearse drove, I looked out the window from time to time. I noticed that the mountains outside the car window were winding and graceful, and they were traveling far away, with a majestic momentum. Obviously, the feng shui here has the appearance of dragon veins. Suddenly, I discovered that a mountain peak not far away was very unique, standing like a dragon's head between heaven and earth. I said the car was parked at the bottom of the mountain, and just as I was about to wake Su Tianqian up, I saw that she had already opened her eyes. The two of us got off the bus, and I stood at the foot of the mountain and looked up at the mountain in front of me. The mountain is huge, lined with green trees, the terrain is ever-changing, and dragons move erratically. As the saying goes, the divine dragon sees its head but not its tail, and the mountains are also undulating, hiding, and changing, which is where the dragon's veins and heads are located. Obviously, the mountain range in front of us is Wolong Mountain. Master, please wait for me here. I will come back as soon as I go. Su Tianqian opened his mouth and said, why don't I go with you as a teacher? I shook my head, pointed to the hearse behind me and said, Master, I can do this by myself. You have to guard the golden body here. Zhao Mian is very cunning and his goal is my golden body. I must be on guard. Su Tianqian nodded and said, pay attention to safety. I waved my hand, turned around and walked towards Wolong Mountain. Kadi took my hand and walked side by side along the mountain road. On the way, Cai Dai raised her head and said to me, I have a hunch that it won't be long before I fall into a deep sleep. I was slightly stunned, looked at Cai Dai, and asked in confusion, sleeping? Cai Dai nodded and said very seriously, I feel that the energy in my body has reached a critical point and is about to break through. That's a good thing. Why do you look depressed? Cai Dai instantly turned into a bitter melon face and said, it's so good. I have a breakthrough and I don't want to grow up. When I heard this sentence, I pictured Cai Dai growing up in my mind. The little lowly becomes a royal sister? The contrast is too great. Ouch. I'm so annoyed. Cai Dai said angrily to the side. I smiled and said, breakthrough is a good thing. It also proves that you will become stronger than before. Moreover, aren't you able to change your form at will? After all, Cai Dai is not a human being, but a holy gu, which is similar to the category of monster. As long as Cai Dai wants to, she can completely turn into that colorful butterfly now. Ah, Cai Dai was stunned, stretched out her hand and scratched her head. How could I forget this matter? Then, Cai broke away from my hand and jumped towards the mountain. I shook my head helplessly and smiled bitterly. This little girl is really weird. Not long after I left, Xiaohei landed on my shoulder. Boss, there's something going on ahead. I was slightly startled and asked, what's the situation? Xiaohei said, there are many people in front, discussing how to open the stone gate of Wolong Mountain. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 689. Are you sure it's human? I asked. After all, in this environment, what Xiaohei saw was probably not a human being. Xiaohei nodded with certainty and replied, I can still tell the difference between a human and a ghost. I nodded and let Xiaohei lead the way. We followed the mountain road to halfway up the mountain. I hid in the bushes and watched the scene not far away. A huge stone door stood quietly under the moonlight. The stone door is mottled and covered with all kinds of moss and vines. At first glance, it looks like a green wall. Even from such a distance, I can feel the mysterious and primitive atmosphere coming from the stone gate. In front of the stone gate, there were 7 or 8 people in robes standing. They held compasses in their hands and pointed at the stone gate. Although they were far apart, I could still hear clearly what they were saying. We can't even get rid of this dragon-pressing stone. Don't worry, wait for me to make luck and open the dragon-pressing stone directly. Wait. Let's discuss entering the dragon cave. By listening to the conversations of these people, I have been able to guess their approximate identities and the purpose of coming here. These people are well-known Feng Shui masters in the Feng Shui world. I don't know what their names are. If Su Tianqian was here, he would definitely know. However, I vaguely felt that these people looked familiar. The purpose of their coming here is to enter the dragon cave and save all the ghosts in the dragon cave. Wolong Mountain is called Wolong Mountain because there is a real dragon hiding here. The real dragon suppressed the lonely ghosts for several miles around, including those soldiers who died in the battle. Hang Pass is a battleground for military strategists. Not only a few battles broke out here, but countless battles. As long as you are in a war era, there will definitely be a battle at Hang Pass. During this period, I don't know how many soldiers and civilians died. If Wolong Mountain did not exist, I am afraid that a few miles around would become a ghost prison, and the people would have no way of living. Don't think that it is a just thing for these Feng Shui masters to come here to save the evil ghosts, but in fact they have their own selfish motives. Saving powerful ghosts will result in merit, and the merit of liberating 10,000 ghosts is huge. Whoever can obtain these merits will naturally ensure that their descendants will have no worries for 3 generations, become rich and noble, and even become a human being. But their purpose in obtaining these merits scares me. They want to gain the merits of all ghosts and then deal with me. Hearing this, I remembered seeing them somewhere. When the Mission Lushan Daijiao was held, I saw their faces in the audience. I was just impressed, but not very impressed. I didn't expect that Lu Linlong's grandson was actually Su Tianxuan's apprentice. Yes. I didn't expect it either, but that boy's own strength should not be underestimated. Let's quickly open the dragon pressure stone and save those evil ghosts. I heard that there seems to be a tiger talisman inside that can command the yin soldiers. That's right. Open the stone door quickly. After gaining merit, we can go find Su Tianqian and settle the score with that boy. After hearing their conversation, I held my breath and did not go out. I have to see if these guys have the ability to open the stone door first. Several people focused their attention on an old man with white hair. Mr. Xie, as the leader of the Baiyun sect, it must be easy for you to open this stone door, right? Baiyun faction. This sect is a sect of Feng Shui masters. It is said that everyone in the sect can know astronomy and geography. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbo. Chapter 690. There are many Feng Shui sects like Baiyun sect. The most famous among them is the Kunlun school. The Feng Shui master known as Mr. After a moment, the old man's palm flashed with golden light, and then he slapped the stone door hard. Boom! The stone door trembled slightly, but there was no sign of opening. Several Feng Shui masters took a deep breath when they saw this. This dragon pressing stone is really powerful. Even people like Mr. Xia can't open it. What should I do now? Mr. Xia can't even open it. If Mr. Xia can't open it, we can't open it even more. After hearing this, Mr. Xia let out a long sigh and said, "This dragon pressing stone has been absorbed by the true dragon's energy and has become one with the mountain. I'm afraid it will take some time to open it. Let's try to gather all the energy together and see if we can shake this dragon pressing stone." Listening to their conversation, I was extremely speechless. If you say you can't open it, then you can't open it, and you're still wasting time here. If they are allowed to waste time here again, I will have no control over Xiaomian. We must find a way to enter the dragon cave as soon as possible. At this moment, those Feng Shui masters took action again. I saw them sitting cross-legged on the ground at the same time, making secrets with their hands, and golden light burst out from their bodies one after another, and finally disappeared into the body of Mr. Xia. They are gathering energy. The process of gathering energy lasted about 3 minutes. 3 minutes later, Mr. Xia stood up suddenly and slapped the dragon pressing stone with his palm. There was another loud rumble. This time the dragon pressing stone shook more frequently, but the dragon pressing stone was still not opened. I lowered my head and thought for a moment, and finally made a decision. The Feng Shui masters were still studying how to open the dragon pressing stone. Just then, I walked out. A bunch of mediocre people, I said coldly to them. Several Feng Shui masters were slightly startled, and all turned their heads to look at me. "What did you say?" One of the Feng Shui masters asked me coldly. I said, "You are mediocre and useless. You can't even open a dragon pressing stone. Aren't you useless?" As soon as these words came out, the eyes of several people looking at me instantly became extremely cold. "Who on earth are you? You are uttering arrogant words. Do you know our identities?" I glanced at them lightly and said, "It doesn't matter who I am, what matters is that I can open this dragon pressing stone." There was a black robe in the hearse, which could completely cover my appearance. I just asked Xiao He to get this black robe. I want to hide my identity, open the dragon pressing stone and enter the dragon cave. Because I don't have much time, and I can't let them continue to consume my time. Several Feng Shui masters looked at me and I looked at you, with doubts in their eyes. A Feng Shui master came to me, cupped his hands in front of me, and said respectfully, "Fellow Taoist, is what you said true?" I nodded and said, "It's just a dragon pressing stone." Hearing my arrogant tone, several people felt very unhappy. "Since you are so powerful, then open the dragon pressing stone and let us see what you are capable of. If you don't have this ability, don't talk nonsense here, lest you lose face later."